Okay, I wanted to walk you through the process of how to set up a securely classroom for students that are testing for Regents exams and need to use a Chromebook for testing accommodations for writing and typing. So the first thing that we're going to do is once you're logged into Securely Classroom, you'll go to Classes where your entire class dashboard is located. And we're going to go to Add in the upper right-hand corner and Add New Class. We're going to leave this as a manual class, and you're going to search for your school if it's not the first one that comes up. And we're going to give this a class name. I'm going to call this Regents Testing. And the subject that we are testing in, and the name of the lead proctor. This way, if I am sharing any of my classes with anyone else, I'll be able to easily identify Regents Testing, so that should stand out to me. I'm going to click Add, and that's going to take me to the setup screen. I'm going to scroll down underneath Class Session Options and click Close All Tabs on Start. This is going to make sure that any student who has already started a couple of sessions in Chrome, they're already surfing the internet. This is immediately going to close any of their windows or tabs that they might have open as soon as we start this policy. And then I'm going to scroll down to the number of tabs I'm allowing. We're going to click 2. One will be for class link because that's the standard auto tab that students will open up to. And then the other tab that they'll have open is Google Docs. For my blocking plan, I'm going to go in and find testing accommodations writing on doc only. This is a publicly created blocking plan available to anyone in Scotia Glenville. You might have to type in or search for that particular blocking plan, but this one is already set up for you so that it will open to a blank Google Doc. So I'm going to click that and click Select. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see that there is a class schedule here. I would leave this turned off. If you turn it on, it's going to require you to work within a schedule that's created, but because it's much easier to just click the manual start, we're going to do that instead. So leave that turned off. All right, we are going to scroll back up to the top. And on the right-hand side is the teachers area where we can add any other teachers that we want to have access to this classroom. I'm going to add one person. And as I'm doing that, I will also mention that once we actually begin or enact the policy on students' Chromebooks, we really only want to have one teacher that's in this system. So I can add as many teachers as I want to. They'll help us make sure that we get all of the proper students input into this particular area, but I only want to have one adult in here at a time once we actually start the policy. Okay, I'm going to go down to students and click Add Students, and I'm going to add my student test account. And of course, you can add as many students as you need to. I'm going to go back up and click Save. And now this class has been added to my class roster groups. So I'm going to look for the class that was just created, Regents Testing Earth Science Johnson. And at this point, before I actually hit start, I'm going to let students know that we're about to go into a testing session, that anything that they have open on their Chromebook is going to be closed, just so that they're aware that they're about to see some changes happen on their screen. And I'm going to click Start. Now, it hasn't actually started for students yet until you click Start Session in the upper right corner. Before we do that, slide over to Setting Durations or Setting Session Settings, and click Duration, and then click 8 hours. Now, obviously, our test is not 8 hours long, but I do want to make sure that we're giving ourselves ample time. We have students that have time and a half. We have some students that have double time. If we have mixed groups of students in here that are going to be testing, it's just much easier to set it to 8 hours. We're going to end the test for everybody all at once, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so we'll leave this at 8 hours. If I had individual students that I wanted to start this session for, maybe I had added students to this group who are not present for today's Regents exam, then I would just unselect students that I did not want to actually be part of the session when I started. But I only have one student in here, so I'm going to select the student again. And I'm ready to begin session, so I'm going to click Start Session. Now, I know that you can't see this, but the student's screen actually did close on the Chromebook that's on the desk right next to me. I'm going to blow up the student screen just so that you can see it. And for those of you that are watching this video, if you click on the student's thumbnail, it'll blow up the screen so that you can see what they can see as well. Any of the tabs that their students are on, the tabs are listed on the right-hand side, so you can actually see which tabs the students are working in. In this instance, I'm going to ask the student to now open another tab and to go to docs.google.com. And in a moment, you'll see that also register on the tabs. So you can see that we also have Google Docs over here. Now we can see the student screen. The student will click blank document. And before they go any further, I'm going to have the student refer to something that I have written on the board. So we have a template on the board in the front of the classroom. And we'll say that the student's name is John Smith. And he is taking the Earth Science Regents. And today's date is June 9th. It makes a pretty long title, but that will allow us to find the student's document when we're finished. Okay, and that page will just reload. Excellent. All right, so now before we go any further, we're going to have the student put the title on the very top of their document. And this is because when we go to print, we want to be able to find this easily. Okay, so now the student's information is here, and they can begin with the regular part of their test. The other thing to please call forward for students is that they should number any of the questions that they're responding to. So in this instance, let's say that the student didn't need to answer questions 1 and 2 because those are multiple choice, but question 3 was actually a short answer question. We would just have the student do that. And then any other subsequent responses that they put in here, they would just fill that out here. The next part, if this student has finished with their exam and they are ready to turn this into you, the adult or the lead proctor in the classroom will then need to take the student's Chromebook and go to File, Share, Share with Others, and put the name of the lead proctor or the person that's going to handle the printing in this section. So I'll put my own name in there and then click send. Leave it as notify people, because if it's going to this person, they're also going to be printing the Regents exam too. So that just makes it easier for that person to find. Then we're going to go back in there. So now we've shared it with the person that needs to print. We're going to go back into File, Share, Share with Others. And we're now going to change ownership. So for the person that we just shared it with, we're going to change it so that that person becomes the owner. So you're going to click on that person's name, and in the drop down where it says editor, we're going to change that to transfer ownership, and then click yes. And you can see now that I have become the owner of this particular document. We now need to remove our student from this document. So we're going to go down to the student's name and click on that drop down. And then we're going to go to remove access. And that will actually draw a line right through the student's name. And then we're going to click save. And then click yes. And okay. All right, so now the student no longer has access to this document except for this particular moment. So the student has just transferred ownership. This is, it'll actually tell you that your access has changed and that you no longer have access. The student can try to reload the page, but you'll notice that it's going to take you to a screen that says that you no longer have access to this document anymore. At this point, just go ahead and close that tab. If I wanted to release the entire class at once, which is what I would definitely recommend doing, I would wait until the very last student has submitted, click all, and then go to class ends and stop class. So now the student is fully released and you're back to this screen again. I just wanted to show you one other method for removing students from your Securely Classroom. If you have multiple students that are in your Securely Classroom, like I have here, I just added Tommy Tartan, you will get another option that shows up. If you click these three dots, at the very bottom, you'll see exclude from session. This will only appear if you have more than one student in a testing session. So if I go ahead and click on that and then exclude, this student change has now been removed from this Chromebook policy. So the student is now able to get back into the internet and do whatever else they may need to do, or they can be added to another securely testing classroom. Tommy Tartan, even though he's not online right now, he is still actually in session and his Chromebook is being managed by this policy.